airing from 1957 to 19 series. Leave It to Beaver became a television treasure, charming audiences with the everyday adventures of the Cleaver family and setting the standard for wholesome family sitcoms. With its mix of humor, heart, and life lessons, the show perfectly reflected suburban America of its time and created characters that fans would never forget. But more than 6 decades later, the big question remains what happened to the beloved cast after the series ended. In 2025, some stars went on to build careers in Hollywood. Others chose quieter lives away from the spotlight, and a few have left behind lasting legacies. Join us as we look back at the cast of Leave It to Beaver then and now and discover where they are today. Barbara Billingsley was born on December 22, 1915, Los Angeles, California, and at age 42, she stepped into the iconic role of June Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver when the show premiered in 1957. June became the archetype of the perfect 1950s housewife, poised, nurturing, impeccably dressed, even in pearls, while vacuuming, and a moral compass for her family and viewers alike. Her character's calm intelligence and maternal wisdom masked a subtle toughness that quietly influenced the series' tone and audience perception, making June both approachable and aspirational. Off-screen, however, Billingsley's life was far more complex than the serene image she projected. She grew up in a household shadowed by economic instability, social pressure, and an emotionally distant mother learning early to conceal vulnerability behind a composed facade. Professionally, her early career was a constant struggle to find meaningful work, facing the typecasting that plagued many women in mid-20th century Hollywood. Though she avoided scandal, her personal life included 3 marriages, divorces, and long periods of professional drought that forced her to navigate both public expectation and private disappointment. She became increasingly frustrated by the lack of residuals from Leave It to Beaver's syndication, which limited her financial independence despite her central role in television history. Her most surprising career resurgence came with the satirical turn in Airplane 1980, a move that demonstrated her enduring comic timing and ability to reinvent herself, albeit briefly. Billingsley also devoted significant energy to family and personal projects, balancing the demands of Hollywood against a private desire for stability, often shielding herself from intrusive media scrutiny. She passed away on October 16, 2010, at age 94 in Santa Monica, California, due to polymyalgia rheumatica. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at $2 million, drawn from decades of television work and voice acting, particularly on Muppet Babies. Tony Dow was born on April 13, 1945 in Los Angeles, California, and at age 12 in 1957, he became Wally Cleaver, the charming and athletic older brother in Leave It to Beaver, whose character epitomized teenage virtue, responsibility, and charisma. Wally served as a stabilizing influence for his younger brother and provided audiences with a model of adolescent conduct, blending charm with an ethical sensibility that made him both relatable and aspirational. Off-screen Dow's life contrasted with his public image. His early fame imposed immense pressures that exacerbated underlying struggles with clinical depression, an issue he candidly addressed later in life through advocacy and self-help media. His childhood, though seemingly idealized on screen, was complicated by the demands of child stardom, the scrutiny of Hollywood, and the challenge of separating identity from character. Professionally, Dow faced the dual burdens of typecasting and the pursuit of artistic autonomy, ultimately diversifying into directing, producing, and sculpting. He served in the California Army National Guard during the Vietnam era, adding another dimension to his public persona, and he achieved recognition as a sculptor, with exhibitions at prestigious venues such as the Louvre, demonstrating a talent and ambition far beyond acting. Dow also navigated complex interpersonal relationships, industry politics, and the tension between public expectation and personal fulfillment, highlighting the hidden struggles behind his clean-cut image. He passed away on July 27, 2022, at age 77 from complications related to liver cancer, leaving an estimated net worth of $4 million accrued through acting, directing, producing, and his successful art career. His life reflects the intricate balance of early fame, private struggle, and creative reinvention, underscoring the human vulnerabilities and resilience that informed both his work and his personal legacy, ultimately cementing his role as an enduring cultural figure in television history. Hugh Beaumont was born on February 16, 1909 in Eudora, Kansas, and at age 48 in 1957, he assumed the role of Ward Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, embodying the calm, principled, and morally steadfast patriarch who balanced firmness with wisdom. Ward's character became the archetype of the measured and guiding father, providing ethical clarity and stability in a family navigating childhood misadventures, and his understated presence shaped viewers' understanding of paternal authority. Yet Beaumont's life behind the scenes was fraught with hardship. He grew up in a rural, financially strained environment, facing teasing and social marginalization, which fostered a cautious and reflective personality that informed his approach to acting. His career had its own turbulence. While he was also an ordained Methodist minister, he struggled with Hollywood's typecasting and the limits of playing a perfect father, chafing at the artistic constraints of the role. Personal tragedies compounded his challenges, including a 1959 car accident that killed his mother-in-law and seriously injured his son, events that deeply affected him and shaped his emotional performance on screen. Beaumont also faced health challenges, including a stroke in 1970, which accelerated his retirement and left him confronting the mortality and limitations imposed by age. His private life included moments of melancholy, frustration over typecasting, and a reflective engagement with the social expectations of masculinity and morality that both guided and constrained him. He passed away on May 14, 1982, at age 73 in Munich, Germany, from a heart attack while visiting family, leaving an estate estimated between $1.5 to $2 million, a modest reflection of decades of acting, writing, and ministry. Beaumont's legacy endures in the careful balance of authority and empathy he brought to Ward Cleaver, a performance informed by personal hardship, private resilience, and the often unseen pressures of maintaining both familial and professional integrity in mid-century America. Ken Osmond, born June 7, 1943 in Glendale, California, assumed the role of Eddie Haskell on Leave It to Beaver in 1957 at age 14, creating one of the most enduring archetypes in television history. The charmingly insincere, two-faced adolescent whose obsequious flattery masked a calculating and often devious nature. Eddie Haskell's persona, the sweet, deferential boy around adults who became a scheming instigator when unsupervised, captured audiences' imaginations and cemented Osmond's place in pop culture, making Eddie Haskell synonymous with duplicity and hidden agendas. However, the character's brilliance also became Osmond's lifelong burden as he was typecast for decades and struggled to escape the shadow of his iconic performance, forcing him into a career pivot as a Los Angeles police officer, where he faced extreme danger and survived a near-fatal shooting in 1980. Osmond's childhood in a modest working-class family was marked by economic hardship and frequent teasing, forcing him to develop an early understanding of performance and manipulation as tools for survival traits that would shape both his acting and personal life. Beyond the public eye, his life was complicated by bizarre rumors and persistent urban legends, falsely claiming he was rock star Alice Cooper, or adult film actor John Holmes, which haunted him and required public refutations. Osmond navigated personal challenges, including marriages and family responsibilities, while balancing a career split between fleeting fame and public service, enduring public misperceptions, typecasting, and a lifelong struggle for professional legitimacy. Health struggles compounded these challenges, particularly chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and peripheral artery disease in later life, reflecting the physical and emotional toll of decades of stress and exposure to violence in his law enforcement career. He passed away May 18, 2020, at age 76, leaving a net worth estimated at $500,000, a modest reflection of a life divided between Hollywood notoriety and civic duty. Richard Deacon, born May 14, 1922 in Philadelphia, stepped into the role of Fred Rutherford in Leave It to Beaver in 1957, at age 35, portraying the pompous, self-important father of Clarence "Lumpy" Rutherford, whose inflated sense of superiority and oblivious arrogance provided endless comedic tension with the Cleaver household. Deacon's performance was meticulously calibrated. He turned a potentially one-dimensional stereotype into a memorable, subtly nuanced character whose arrogance was counterbalanced by occasional vulnerability, making Fred both laughable and oddly sympathetic to viewers. Yet, behind the polished exterior of his television persona, Deacon's life was layered with secrecy and personal constraints. Growing up in a modest working-class family, he experienced early social marginalization and familial friction, often hiding insecurities and frustrations beneath a calm, precise exterior. In Hollywood, his meticulousness translated into a reputation for being exacting and sometimes difficult on set, a demeanor complicated further by the pressures of concealing his sexuality in an era intolerant of openly gay performers. While he never married, Deacon developed close, complicated relationships with a small circle of friends, balancing affection with professional caution. He also explored creative avenues outside acting, authoring microwave cookbooks and hosting a Canadian culinary program, demonstrating both versatility and a desire for control over his public image. Despite decades of steady work, he remained typecast as officious or comic figures, which he privately lamented as a limitation on his artistic potential. Deacon died of cardiovascular disease on August 8, 1984, at 62, leaving an estate estimated between $1 to $2 million, comprising residuals, royalties, and modest investments. His legacy combines disciplined professionalism, comedic precision, and the quiet struggles of a man who balanced public charm with intensely private pressures, navigating Hollywood's rigid social expectations while creating one of television's most enduring comic foils. Burt Mustin, born February 8, 1884 in Pittsburgh, assumed the role of Gus the fireman in Leave It to Beaver in 1957 at age 73, becoming a beloved grandfatherly figure whose sage advice, geniality, and twinkling eyes offered moral guidance and warmth to Beaver and his friends. His character served as a gentle anchor in a show often dominated by the bumbling antics of adults and children alike, endearing him to audiences who found reassurance and humor in his presence. Mustin's real-life trajectory, however, was far from conventional. He did not begin his professional acting career until age 67, after decades of modest work and personal obscurity. Growing up in an environment marked by financial scarcity and rigid family expectations, he cultivated patience, resilience, and a subtle wit that later informed his nuanced performances. Mustin faced the unique challenge of entering Hollywood late in life, contending with ageism, limited roles, and an industry that prized youth and physical appeal. Yet he carved a niche for himself through determination, reliability, and a signature warmth. Off-screen, he was an accomplished barbershop singer, founder of a local Lions Club, and active Presbyterian, maintaining a disciplined yet socially engaged life that contrasted with Hollywood's chaos. His long marriage of 54 years provided personal stability, though he occasionally faced the emotional isolation inherent to older actors navigating a competitive, youth-focused industry. Mustin's net worth at death, estimated between $100,000 $300 billion, reflected the cumulative modest rewards of decades of supporting roles and community engagement. He passed away from natural causes on January 28, 1977, at age 92, leaving behind a legacy of perseverance, charm, and understated excellence, a testament to the impact of character actors whose steady dedication shapes beloved television narratives while often remaining largely uncelebrated. Edgar Buchanan, born March 20, 1903 in Humansville, Missouri, was 54 when he took on dual roles in Leave It to Beaver as Captain Jack and Uncle Billy, imbuing the series with rustic charm, humor, and a grounded sense of humanity. His character's gruff exterior belied a warmth and moral center that provided viewers with a model of integrity tempered by experience, effectively balancing the youthful escapades of the Cleaver children with real-world consequences. Buchanan's early life was defined by hardship with economic limitations and familial instability, necessitating resilience and adaptability from a young age. These formative experiences imbued him with a work ethic and authenticity that later informed his acting. Transitioning from dentistry to Hollywood, he encountered the relentless challenges of character actors, constant auditions, risk of typecasting, and navigating the interpersonal politics of a highly competitive industry where reputation could make or break opportunities. Though generally scandal-free, Buchanan's commanding presence occasionally caused friction on set, and he had to contend with the physical and emotional tolls of a long career punctuated by demanding travel schedules and grueling shoots. Off-screen, he maintained strong fraternal and social networks, including Freemasonry and Theta Chi, which provided both support and public scrutiny, and he quietly managed family obligations while preserving his professional image. Health issues in his later years, including cardiovascular strain, complicated the natural aging process, yet he remained active and engaged until his passing. Edgar Buchanan died on April 4, 1979, in Palm Desert, California, at age 76 from a stroke complicated by pneumonia, leaving an estate estimated between $1 and $2 million, a reflection of a steady, respected, and enduring career. Diane Brewster, born March 11, 1931 in Kansas City, Missouri, was 26 when Leave It to Beaver premiered in 1957, portraying Miss Canfield Beaver's first teacher, as well as Miss Sims in the pilot, a duality that showcased her versatility and gentle authority in shaping young minds on screen. Her characters exuded warmth, intelligence, and encouragement, providing a sense of stability and kindness amidst the Cleaver's suburban adventures, leaving a lasting impression on audiences who cherished the educational and nurturing presence she embodied. Brewster's childhood was marked by a blend of lineage pride and personal challenge. Descended from a Mayflower Pilgrim family, she was raised in a home that prized propriety and achievement, but her sensitive disposition made her vulnerable to criticism, fostering a reserved, introspective personality that she carried into adulthood. Professionally, Brewster faced the uncertainty of Hollywood's competitive environment, including being replaced after her first season on Leave It to Beaver, reportedly due to scheduling conflicts, but rumored to be compounded by behind-the-scenes disagreements and subtle network politics. While she avoided overt scandal, she navigated the pressures of being a young woman in mid-century television, balancing modest fame with the desire for privacy and maintaining a low-profile marriage to an oral surgeon. Brewster's personal life remained stable but quiet, and she encountered the heartbreak of losing contemporaries in her industry, while battling health concerns that would later culminate in heart failure. She passed away on November 12, 1991, in Studio City, California, at age 60. Her net worth was estimated at $500,000, $1 million accumulated through steady television work and judicious management of earnings. Brewster's enduring charm and professionalism on screen concealed the quiet struggles and resilience that defined her off-screen life, leaving a legacy of understated elegance and early television excellence that continues to resonate with fans and historians alike. Claudia Breyer, born May 18, 1918, in Guymon, Oklahoma, was 39 when she appeared as Mrs. Bates, the meticulously proper librarian in Leave It to Beaver, 1962, a role that demanded a balance of authority, warmth, and subtle humor, leaving an indelible mark on the series' portrayal of small-town morality and the shaping influence of adult figures on children. Mrs. Bates's quiet, watchful guidance often served as a counterpoint to the mischievous adventures of Beaver and his friends, creating a dynamic in which her character's patience and moral rigor amplified the show's lessons without ever appearing didactic. Breyer's own childhood was shadowed by the pressures of an accomplished but emotionally distant father, a congressman and federal judge, and a mother whose expectations were rigid and exacting, leaving Claudia to navigate feelings of invisibility and to conceal her emotions behind a composed exterior. Her early professional life was equally complex. Entering Hollywood in the 1950s, she faced persistent typecasting, repeatedly relegated to maternal stern or secondary roles, despite possessing a rare depth and versatility. Though she never courted scandal, Breyer experienced the quieter frustrations of Hollywood, competing against younger, flashier actors, negotiating the subtle politics of studio casting, and managing the demands of a dual career alongside family responsibilities, including raising her son, Paul Barrere, later a prominent musician with little feet. Breyer's marriage to actor Paul Breyer was stable yet private, reflecting her preference for discretion in a career that required consistent professionalism in the face of systemic gender biases. Later in life, she contended with the challenges of aging and limited opportunities for women in Hollywood, maintaining her craft and dignity even as the industry shifted. She passed away on June 16, 2011 in Los Angeles at the age of 93 from natural causes, leaving a net worth estimated between $300,000 and $500,000 accumulated from decades of television and film work. John Hoyt, born October 5, 1905 in Bronxville, New York, was 52 when he appeared in Leave It to Beaver as the clothier, and later as Dr. Compton, providing a sophisticated, authoritative presence that grounded the series' suburban world while demonstrating a subtle balance of severity, intellect, and underlying warmth. Hoyt's characters often reflected the interplay between knowledge and compassion, delivering guidance and correction with an understated wit that both entertained and instructed, reinforcing the series' overarching themes of morality, community, and the negotiation of personal responsibility. Growing up in a household that valued education and cultural refinement, Hoyt was steeped in expectations of intellectual rigor, yet he faced the emotional challenge of navigating a strict achievement-focused environment that encouraged concealment of vulnerability and careful self-presentation. Professionally, he endured the uncertainties inherent to character acting in Hollywood, managing intermittent typecasting, navigating the complex hierarchies of studio politics, and surviving periods of obscurity despite his extensive training and education, which included Yale and a stint as a history teacher. While he largely avoided public scandal, Hoyt was known for his sharp, sometimes acerbic wit, and his dedication to maintaining professional integrity sometimes led to friction with directors and co-stars who prioritized showmanship over discipline. He experienced personal trials, alongside professional demands, including maintaining family relationships in the context of long working hours, travel, and an industry that rarely accommodated the personal needs of its older actors. John Hoyt passed away on September 15, 1991 in Santa Cruz, California, at age 85 from lung cancer, leaving a net worth estimated between $1 and $2 million, derived from a long career spanning television, film, and stage performances. Stanley Fafara, born September 20, 1949 in San Francisco, began his television career at age 8 when he was cast as Whitey Whitney on Leave It to Beaver in 1957, portraying the mischievous, curious, and sometimes impetuous schoolmate of Beaver Cleaver. Whitey's on-screen charm and impishness made him a memorable sidekick, embodying the adventurous and often chaotic energy of childhood, providing contrast to Beaver's more naive persona and endearing himself to audiences as a symbol of playful rebellion. Yet off-screen, Fafara's life descended into profound turbulence. Raised in a working-class family with limited emotional support, he experienced early hardships and frequent social marginalization, learning to mask vulnerability through humor and bravado. Following the series' end, Fafara struggled with addiction, particularly to heroin, and lived among transient communities of musicians and artists, increasingly isolated from family and mainstream society. His substance abuse led to multiple arrests for pharmacy burglaries and other minor criminal activity, resulting in legal entanglements that overshadowed his childhood fame and left lasting health consequences, including contracting hepatitis C. Professional opportunities vanished as he became synonymous with child star tragedy, unable to reclaim stability or meaningful work in entertainment. Personal relationships deteriorated amid his addiction, leaving him largely estranged and reliant on minimal social support, living on meager social security payments. Even periods of sobriety offered only temporary reprieve from the physical and emotional consequences of years of drug abuse. Fafara died on his 54th birthday, September 20, 2003, in Portland, Oregon, following complications from hernia surgery. His net worth was negligible, likely under $10,000, with no tangible assets, reflecting a life of squandered opportunity and the dark realities that can accompany early fame. Sue Randall, born October 8, 1935 in Philadelphia, joined Leave It to Beaver in 1958, at age 22, as Miss Alice Landers, the patient, nurturing, and empathetic schoolteacher whose on-screen guidance provided a stabilizing force for Beaver and the other children in Mayfield. Miss Landers embodied the idealized mid-century educator, blending warmth with discipline, and her character's consistent moral compass offered viewers both comfort and relatability, earning Randall admiration for her ability to balance authority with kindness. Randall's own early life was shaped by economic limitations and a structured household that emphasized perseverance and self-reliance, forcing her to navigate challenges with poise and discretion, traits that carried into her career and personal relationships. While her television persona exuded stability, her professional trajectory was precarious. Her acting career concluded in 1967, leaving her to reconcile early fame with the harsh realities of a competitive industry that offered limited roles for women of her age and type. Randall devoted herself to charitable work, raising funds and awareness for causes such as arthritis, blindness, and education, reflecting a deeply compassionate side, largely hidden from the public eye. Her personal life included 2 marriages, periods of solitude, and a retreat from Hollywood society which shielded her from scandal, but also underscored her professional and social isolation. Health challenges became increasingly serious, with a diagnosis of lung and larynx cancer eventually claiming her life. Randall died on October 26, 1984, at age 49, leaving a modest estate estimated between $100,000 and $200,000, primarily derived from her television work. Her legacy remains as a quietly influential figure whose nurturing on-screen presence belied the personal challenges, career limitations, and early mortality she faced, illustrating the disparity between public image and private struggle, while solidifying her place in television history as a model of grace, patience, and understated resilience. Eddie Marr, born February 14, 1900 in Jersey City, New Jersey, was 57 when he appeared in Leave It to Beaver in 1957, taking on small yet unforgettable roles such as the carnival barker and bus passenger. Marr's characters were brief flashes of energy in the show, memorable for their eccentricities and quirky delivery, providing comic relief in a family-centered sitcom. His childhood was far from glamorous. Growing up in a working-class household, he faced financial hardship and a strict father who often belittled his theatrical inclinations, forcing young Eddie to hide his emotions and channel his creativity into mimicry and performance. In Hollywood, Marr carved out a niche as a prolific character actor with over 100 credits. Yet, the path was rife with struggles. He was frequently typecast, sometimes passed over for more substantial roles, and had to contend with the grueling schedules of radio and television work in the 1940s and 1950s. His personal life remained largely private, but insiders recall a man fiercely protective of his reputation and deeply loyal to friends, though occasionally difficult on set due to his perfectionism and stubbornness. Marr's most serious career challenge was navigating the shifting landscape of mid-century television, where the rise of new genres and younger actors often left seasoned character players like him sidelined, a slow erosion of influence that never quite allowed him to break into starring roles. In his later years, he focused on writing for radio and TV under the pseudonym Edward Marr, supplementing his modest income and keeping a low profile. Marr passed away on August 25, 1987, at age 87 in Los Angeles. His net worth was estimated around $100,000 or $300,000, reflecting decades of steady work rather than spectacular fame. Despite his quiet life, Marr left an indelible mark as a dependable character actor whose raspy voice and rapid-fire delivery enlivened every scene he touched, embodying the unsung artistry of early television performance. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of Leave It to Beaver and where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.